So I'm starting with a Jurassic Park helipad, and I'm putting a bit of path here now, and I'm using this like thing where you put two different types of paths together, and it creates like a nice contrast with each other. And it's something that a lot of builders do in their parks. But I'm putting decorations here because it makes the place look a little less bland. Like chairs and planters and all go a long way with making a simple path nice looking. And I'm doing a circle here because these roundabout yolks they add a lot like to an entrance, and it kind of adds this kind of central point, and you can do a lot with it. You can put like chairs and a fountain, and you can put all sorts on it, and that's what I'm going to do here. A fountain and all sorts. But what I'm doing here is a bit of rocks and all, and some plants and stuff, and it really fills it out. Like, you see how it looks really bland now. In a wee bit, it really fills it out, and it looks really well. Once you do that, carry on. What I'm using here is the I'm pretty sure these are the alpine hedges, like bushes, and they look really well for filling out vegetation. When I was on the PS4 version, I didn't nearly have as much creative freedom. But as soon as I upgraded to PS5, it was unfucking real, because the amount of opportunity it opened up to me with the mixed areas and the mixed terrain tools and stuff. I'm putting these fossils down, and later on I'm going to take them away because I feel they were a bit too much. Especially mixed with like the other stuff I was putting next to it. It just felt like a lot to put in early on, and I ultimately decided against it because I just felt it cluttered up the place rather than actually making the place look well. It was forcing everything into one big spot. And I put the water there because I thought it looked well as well, but it just became more of a liability than anything. And I'll remember it's there in just a moment. I'm opening that there a wee bit just so you can see on, like, so it's not like it feels a bit less. It feels a little less like claustrophobic in that way. There, I'm getting rid of them there because I got sick looking at them. But I decided to put these there instead because they just look well, like, and they come with one of those ones that's like a little group. But yeah, I put these there because they look well, and they're the only hotels. They're the only hotels in this game that I actually think look okay. I really disliked the Jurassic World hotels that they decided to put into this game. I believe the ones in the first game looked so much better, and they look awful small and like weird in this game. And whenever I seen Jurassic World Evolution 3, the trailer, the hotels looked fucking fantastic, and I'm really happy they made the change, because I was really not happy with the hotels in this game. But I'm just trying to add a bit there to make it look a little less empty. But yeah, I got inspired to do something like this because I was watching a video by another creator who made a Jurassic World Evolution 2 time lapse video, and I'll tag them in the description. But yeah, shout out to them, and go follow for more of this kind of stuff, because this isn't my regular content, so I don't know how many more of these I'm going to post, but I'm pretty sure they will post more of their park, and it's ongoing. It's only just begun. But yeah, here's me fiddling around with these. They did let on like these were the best things ever, and when it did release, like, they were pretty cool, yeah. But it does just feel like the buildings are all the same now. What I'm doing here is putting a hill there, so it makes the forest look more formidable. And that's the video over. Here I am continuing this park here, and I decided to add a visitor center and an enclosure for a small herbivore. But the only thing I have to say about this visitor center is the water feature at the front, because I have built it in a way inspired by the first film and the first park. The water in this game is really hard to work with because it just insists on building this mound. So I'm going to I skipped to when it did work after several tries. What I'm doing here is adding plants and vegetation and stuff, more specifically palm trees and stuff, to make it look more like the park from the visitor center from the film, sorry. And it just looks very well in general. I'm adding these decorations around purely just for aesthetics and to make the place look less empty. But yeah, these planters here didn't want to work for me at first, but I eventually just moved them around a bit, and it worked fine for what I was going for here, with just a little entrance there, which is, it's confusing me why they didn't make it for a third entrance. I don't know. It's one of those things since the first game I've always just been confused about, but here I am adding more path to lead on to the enclosure that I built, and which is the main kind of focus of this video. It's the technique I used to make it look more like a real zoo, I'm guessing. What the technique is about, it just looks very pretty, and it looks prettier than just putting a big fence up and like a building that you walk into and just watch out of. And the problem is with this build is that it will not add to your dinosaur visibility, because the guests will not see the dinosaurs because you didn't place them a viewing gallery. And it is like an annoying thing to have to place down if you want your park to be functional, because the viewing gallery is an unsightly fucking thing to look at if it doesn't fit your aesthetic. But this is more of a sandbox park rather than a challenge park or whatever. So it doesn't need to abide by the challenge rules of visibility and stuff. It is purely just for you to look at and say, this is a cool thing I've built. But I'm just adding some palm trees here and stuff, and just like, it looks well. It looks like a natural habitat an animal would live in. I'm adding these walls here, which in the canon kind of like park in my head, these walls are the actual ones keeping the animals in. And that invisible fence there is purely just for the game to let me keep them in here. But as I experimented on with these walls, this is the first time I've ever used these walls like fully. I discovered this like tower thing, and I thought it looked very pretty, and I put it along with this, and it kind of like ignited this idea that I wanted to make this look more like an ancient ruin. So I put more of these walls around and stuff, and I thought it looked very nice. And especially mixed with like plants and rocks and stuff, I thought it looked very pretty. I'm adding more vegetation there to just fill the place out a little bit, which I'll eventually get rid of and just replace it with different plants and stuff. But here's the rocks here, and it adds a lot to the things here. It makes them look more part of the environment rather than something I've just placed there. More of these plants here, which I talked about, flowers and stuff. I decided to go with a waterfall here after looking through these decorations. I really eyeballed it. But I decided to go with a fountain. This DNA fountain. It's very versatile. It looks very well. I personally use it a lot for like laboratories and stuff. Here's these planters and stuff. You can mix different things like that. It adds a bit of variety to your park. And lastly, I added a restroom for guests. Continuing on this park, I'm adding the trikes that I was recommended to add. First of all, getting rid of that annoying terrain there. And I decided to go with the Jurassic Park skin, because naturally it's a Jurassic Park themed map, so I just decided to go with the most Jurassic Parky one. Here's me genuinely worrying about if I had enough space for them all, and I said, do you know what I do? That's fine. That's all good. Here's me putting them in the enclosure now. And then I'm continuing on to start my new exhibit. I don't know why I feel like this, but I feel like this could be a medium to large carnivore exhibit, but I don't want to throw in the large carnivores in just yet. I want to keep it simple until we get deeper into the park. I say I feel like that because I think it's the raised level there, which is similar to zoos and stuff with the more dangerous animals. Here's the trikes in all of their glory. That kind of spooked me there because I thought the comfort settings were set to default, but they weren't. Um, it makes it easier to have comfort levels and stuff off because then you can build a park without the restraints of an animal that would want like plants that, selfishly speaking, look abhorrent to put in a park. So you can just turn it off. They won't need them, and you're like, hey, I don't have to put the ugly fucking plants in. So yeah, it's good. Here's me adding the Triceratops signs in signage here because this just looks cool. And then I just nerd the fuck out and just started looking through the little wall there. I start doing another thing here with the planters, and this is so fucking tedious when it's not sped up. It takes ages, and because of the building constraints, it's really like annoying because you have to get it just right, or else it's not going down. I wouldn't like to do a long path dotted with these. That's why I can't wait for the third game, because I imagine just from the trailer they have like a tool, like the fence tool or the path tool, for like small fences, and that would be really cool because you wouldn't need to like mess around with like decoration stuff. Here's me adding benches because it just adds like this whole dynamic of like, or rather, an immersion of like this park actually catering for guests, and more benches and trash cans. I start adding these seats because they look very nice up against the wall, and again adds that immersion of a park that caters for guests, not only in a practical sense but also in a decorative sense. And this is when I start adding these banners, and I didn't expect them to add as much as they did. It went from looking just okay, like it looks good, but those banners really added a lot, and I can't quite put my finger on why. You see what I mean, though. They add quite a lot, and I just, I can see myself using them a lot in the future. This is where I start to contradict myself by adding a viewing gallery. But I didn't add it in the sense that it's the only thing they can see through. I added it more of it's an additional viewing platform that gives you an overall better view of the animals. Um, so I feel that I'm still carrying on my aesthetic here. Just a few more touches here, and then the video is over.